So let's get started. This is the webinar on Multiscraper, which is Postaga's new way of doing a skyscraper campaign in 2021. We're really excited about this campaign type because it opens the door to running skyscraper campaigns on a lot more posts than you used to be able to do. And Andy is going to walk you through how to run a skyscraper campaign. So I'm going to load up Andy's screen and we'll be minimized and he'll take it from there. If you have questions, just post them in the questions tab and we'll do our best to get to all of the questions at the end. All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Sam. So let's talk all about the Multiscraper. Real quick, who am I, this random person who is talking to you today? So my name is Andy. I'm a co-founder here at Postaga. And prior to Postaga, Sam and I together both founded and sold a digital marketing agency. I also, in a past life, have a background as a lawyer. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, a few things. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the Skyscraper technique, because that is what this Multiscraper technique that we're going to be talking about is built on top of. So if you're not familiar with that, we're going to dive into that a little bit. Then we'll talk about the Multiscraper. We'll talk about email templates and best practices for doing outreach. And then we'll talk about the integration that we've built between Postaga and Ahrefs. We will share an exclusive offer that we have for you today for joining us on this webinar. And we'll take a Q&A at the end. And then we will never use this webinar platform ever again. We'll use something else. Okay. So real quick, so the basis for what we're going to be doing with our outreach campaigns today is going to be Postaga. If you're not familiar with Postaga and were recommended this presentation, well, thanks for joining us. So Postaga, if you're not familiar, it's an all-in-one platform for doing link building, digital PR, and cold outreach. Basically, it helps you find outreach opportunities, get people's contact information, and build and send them email sequences targeted towards each of your contacts. So if we're doing Skyscraper Technique, for example, which is one particular link building strategy, you can do that with Postaga. And let's talk about Skyscraper Technique real quick. But first, I would like to know a little bit from you in the audience. Are you familiar with Skyscraper Technique for link building? And this will give me some more information to know how much or how little in depth to go with that. So yeah, let me know. The poll should be open. If you look on the sidebar, there is a poll, and you can fill that out and let me know. All right.
Lots of answers coming in, but it looks like we have about 2/3 of the people are not familiar with Skyscraper.
All right, cool. All right, so good to know. So Skyscraper Technique, we're going to talk a little bit about this, and then we'll talk about this Multiscraper method. So Skyscraper Technique, effectively what it does is it is a strategy to help you get, at the end of the day, it helps you get other websites to link to your website. And when other people link to your website, just generally, broadly speaking, that helps your website rank better in search results and helps you drive more traffic to your website. And so that's why we care about all of this. We want to help you rank better in search and get more traffic and link building outreach. And in particular, this Skyscraper Technique method is a way to do that. So what the Skyscraper Technique is, in essence, is it's a way that finds you websites that could be good opportunities for linking to you, and it's also one reason that a lot of professional digital marketers and link builders like this technique is because it can be very scalable. Scalable in the sense that you can have a lot of people that you could reach out to potentially link to your content. A reason that is important is because outreach is very much a numbers game. The more people that you reach out to, the more opportunities you have to get links. So if you are building a link building or outreach campaign and you reach out to 5 people, then at most, if you're batting 100% here, at most you can get 5 links to your website. But if you're doing a Skyscraper campaign, you could be reaching out to hundreds or potentially thousands of different websites, and that's hundreds to thousands of opportunities for more links to your content. So let's talk a little bit about what you need to do a Skyscraper campaign. And kind of how it works. So first, you need a research tool. Probably 3 of the most popular ones for doing SEO research are tools called Ahrefs, SEMrush, and Ubersuggest. And basically what you're going to do is using these platforms, search for a keyword or a topic that you're interested in writing an article about, and then those websites will show you what are the top ranking articles, how many links do they have, and how many other websites are linking to these articles. Then you can extract those backlinks. So for example, if I search for an article, I'll then see like, okay, this article has 100 websites linking to this article. I can extract that list of links, and then what I'm going to be doing for this outreach campaign type, I'm going to be writing a better article than this current article that people are linking to. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to reach out to these people, these 100 people that are linking to this other website, and pitch them to link to my article instead. So for example, let's say I want to write an article on email marketing. And I search in Ahrefs and I see, okay, there's an article here about tips for email marketing for 2015, 2016. I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, that's an outdated article. I'm going to give email marketing tips for 2021. It's going to be more up to date, and I'm going to make my article longer and better. And then I'm going to reach out to the people that are linking to this article from 2015, 2016 and say, hey, you're linking to an old article. You should be linking to this brand new article instead. It'll be better for your audience because it'll give them more up-to-date information. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. All right. So then once we write this better article, we need to reach out to all of these contacts. And so you've extracted that list of backlinks. Then you can import that into a platform like Postaga, which can then find email addresses for all of these contacts and then build an email sequence to reach out to them to say to the effect of, hey, I saw that you linked to this old article. You should link to ours instead. And then also follow up with these contacts. So that's, in essence, what Skyscraper Technique is all about. And as I mentioned before, kind of the pitch is this, like you're linking to an outdated article, you should link to mine instead. Now, there are a bunch of different approaches that people take with Skyscraper. I personally love the approach of like, this is an outdated article that you're linking to, you should link to mine instead, because it's very simple and easy to understand, and it's low effort for that website to swap out a link to your from the other website to your website, because we're like, all right, well, that's an article from 2015. That's 6 years old now. It would make sense to link to something more current. Whereas if you are doing research and you see, okay, someone has written an article that's relatively recent, but I'm writing an article that's more thorough or more in depth, you have to convey that also in your outreach pitch, which is going to take, more words to do so and just be a little bit more complicated in the pitch. So I think it's easiest if you're finding articles that are like out of date, because then your pitch is pretty simpler. Also, one thing I've seen with particularly successful Skyscraper outreach pitches is adding something else to the pitch, like what I'm calling like a sweetener or a collaboration offer. So like after saying something like, you're linking to an outdated article, you should link to my more up-to-date article. Also saying something like, and like, I also have like, I don't know, I've seen some people be like, I also have a podcast where we talk about stuff like this. If you think you might be a good fit, let me know, and maybe we can have you on the podcast. Or if you'd like to write an article for our audience as well, some offer of collaboration increases the likelihood of getting a positive response. So we published a case study also, and I'm going to share these slides. We're going to share this video after as well. We have a case study about someone who's used the Skyscraper technique method using the Postaga platform as well for doing these campaigns. Basically, they sent 439 emails, got 44 replies, and got 8 links with a high domain authority in really just a few minutes of effort. So I want to also quickly show you kind of how it works. So let me pull this real quick. I'll grab this up. One sec.
So JJ just asked a question, but if any of you have other questions so far or going forward, just feel free to pop them into the questions tab.
All right. So you should see my screen now about link building, outreach strategy guide. Just a thumbs up if you see that.
I see it.
Okay, Sam, you see it. Great. All right. So here I have a piece of content. I just published this. It's a link building outreach strategy guide. It's incredibly long. I just wrote it last week. It's 7,000 words. I really want to do promotion for this. So with a regular Skyscraper campaign, what I would do is I would go to a tool like Ahrefs. And if you're not familiar, this is kind of what Ahrefs looks like. It's a tool for keyword research and SEO research. And so here in the Keyword Explorer, I'm searching for link building outreach, which is what I'm going for. I can then see search results and research that I'm given about this topic. And so I can see, for example, all right, here's an article about link building. I want to do a Skyscraper campaign targeting that. Or there's an article literally from Ahrefs that has 1,300 backlinks on link building strategies. All right, I want to go after that one. So what I would do is I would, click on this button for backlinks, and then I would click on this one link per domain because I only want to reach out to one website. Then I have this button here for exporting the list of backlinks. And then once I export that CSV, I'll get a CSV file. And then from that, I can import the CSV into Postaga and run the campaign from there. And yep, that takes a little bit of time. It's much quicker than the alternative method, which was before Postaga, what you had to do is you do the research in a platform like this, then you'd export it, then you clean up and try and find email addresses using another piece of software, and then validate the email addresses and all of that, and then bring that into an email platform. And it just will be so many disparate pieces here, and it takes a lot of time. And also with a Skyscraper technique, one thing is, as you see here, like I have this one article that I'm grabbing links from. I have to do a Skyscraper campaign for every single website that I am targeting. So for example, like this article that I'm looking at from Ahrefs, it has, that article has like 100 or 1,000 links or whatever. I have to do separate Skyscraper campaigns for each of these target websites. But with Postaga's Multiscraper campaign, which I'm just about to get into, you can do all of this from one campaign. So let me show how that works. So the Multiscraper campaign, how this works is basically all from inside Postaga, you can automatically run a Skyscraper Technique campaign, which will search for different websites on a given topic. It'll then let you target multiple websites. So the main difference here from a regular Skyscraper campaign is instead of just running a Skyscraper campaign on one website with all of its backlinks, you can simultaneously run effectively multiple Skyscraper campaigns at once. And beyond that, all of the data related to these campaigns, from the websites they're linking to these articles, to the articles that we're targeting, all of that information is pulled and analyzed in Postaga for us. And it works due to an integration that we have built here at Postaga with Ahrefs, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So the main differences between Multiscraper and Skyscraper. With Multiscraper, as I mentioned before, we can have multiple outreach targets at once, so we can effectively build many Skyscraper campaigns in just doing the Multiscraper campaign. It'll save us a ton of time since we don't need to do these campaigns over and over again. It'll automatically retrieve backlinks, and also it filters out low authority websites. So for example, if I see like there's an article and they're like, oh wow, they have 100 links to them, I want to reach out to all of those 100 sites. Well, you don't necessarily want to reach out to all of those 100 websites because some of them are pretty low quality, let's say, and it's just not great quality websites. You're not going to get a response to begin with, and those are not like quality of websites that you'd want to be linking to you. And also I mentioned it pulls relevant merge field data for your email campaign. So really in just a few minutes, you can build this campaign completely from scratch from within inside Postaga. People who do link building and do Skyscraper campaigns know the amount of effort that goes into it. And so this saves you a ton of time, and it's also incredibly scalable. So one thing I've seen, there may be articles or maybe topics that you're searching for. There may be topics that you're searching for where like you see a bunch of articles, but they have like 5 or 10 links to them. And I know some people that do Skyscraper Technique are like, well, I only want to spend time building a Skyscraper outreach campaign if there are 50 or more backlinks here, because if I'm spending time building a campaign and there are only 10 or 5 links, it's just not worth my time because every single campaign takes time to set up. But with this Multiscraper campaign, it doesn't take any additional time. It's all doable at once. So now I want to show you exactly how we're going to do this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Postaga account. I'm going to scroll down to this Ahrefs section and click the Multiscraper button. And if you don't have the integration set up yet with Ahrefs and Postaga, we do have, we'll give you a prompt to do that. So you'll go to your settings and you can integrate to your Ahrefs account if you have. So next thing you'll do is you'll insert your blog post URL. And so for me, I'm going for this link building strategy guide, and I'll click Analyze Post. And then what's going to happen is, I set this up a while ago. Let me just refresh real quick. I set this up last night. Let me refresh this page. So I'll click Multiscraper campaign type, click Analyze Post, and then what's going to happen is it's going to pull information about this post. So the next thing, so it says post title and other merge field information as well. And so Postaga will try and give me its best guess at what our target keyword for the article is, and it gives me some suggestions. So link building, outreach campaigns, digital PR. I'm going to use the term link building outreach. So then after that, there are other merge fields here that we can use as well. and we can search for different topics and different blog posts that we're going to be targeting for our Multiscraper campaign. So I'm going to do link building outreach. And one thing I mentioned before is I like to target older articles so that in my pitch, I can say something to the effect of, you're linking to an old article, you should be linking to something more up-to-date like my article. So I'm going to click this advanced search button here, and we have different parameters. So you can like choose, for example, like the year that it was published. So I'm going to stay for like search like 2013 up to 5 years. So I'm going to get a date range of basically 2013 to 2018. And then I'm going to click Find Results. And what's going to happen now is Postaga is going to give me search results of articles on this topic. And so like you saw when we were looking in Ahrefs, is we saw articles, like this Moz article and like this article, like these other articles here. And what we could do next is through our integration with Ahrefs, we can get stats on each of these articles. So for example, this will let me know when this article was published or when it was most recently updated and how many referring domains they have, but also how many referring domains they have with a domain authority over 25. And one other thing to mention, I mentioned before kind of briefly, is we filter out low authority websites. The threshold is a domain rating of 25. And so anything above 25 will be included in the websites that we're going to reach out to. So I might want to click this article, and I'm going to reach out to all these people. I'm going to keep looking at what else do I want to reach out. Get information on this one. Great. I'm guessing that this article from Backlinko, and if you're not familiar, Backlinko is a really great authority about link building and outreach. They actually invented the Skyscraper technique, which would make sense why they have 1,700 referring domains. And do I have the audacity to reach out to people that are linking to Backlinko and get them to link to me instead? And there's other articles here, and so on and so forth. And we have lots to choose from effectively. And so from there, I can keep going, and I can go through all of these and basically select the ones that I want to target. But here now, I'm going to be targeting, just to move along, I'm going to target 4 different domains here. And like I mentioned before, with the regular Skyscraper campaign, you're only targeting one particular domain with each campaign. But with Postaga, automatically it's going to target all of these websites, these multiple websites, and all of their backlink profiles. So for example, this Moz article, I've got 45 backlinks with a domain authority over 25. I can also, if I want to exclude some of these, if I don't want to reach out to these in particular, I can exclude them, and so on. And so, yep. And the next one, I've got these backlinks from this website. Now, 9 backlinks, not a lot of backlinks, but if I add that to this campaign, it takes no additional effort for me to do. And so easily you can see here now, all right, I may have like 9 links here, 20 links here, and so on. This lets me effectively reach out to hundreds of people who many other link builders are probably not going to spend their time on, because as I mentioned before, it takes so much time to build a Skyscraper campaign to begin with, that it's like, well, why would I build more Skyscraper campaigns targeting just a few particular websites? So next up, what's going to happen, I'm going to click this Analyze Backlinks button. And what Postaga is going to do is it's going to try and find the right contact people at each of these websites. So for example, here we have like this particular person. And if like I don't like this particular contact, Postaga can find other contacts thanks to an integration that we have with LinkedIn. So I can choose someone else and use that contact, and that's going to be the person that I'm going to be reaching out to. So using Hollywood magic here, I'm going to skip ahead where I've already run this campaign. And the next stage after this is where we get contacts. And so this is where we get email addresses. So Postaga is going to get email addresses for all of these contacts here. And so I've got the first name, last name, their website, and we also verify their email addresses, which is very important because we don't just want to find an email address for these contacts. We want to make sure that that email address works and that when we pitch them, our email is going to go to someone's inbox and not bounce. If you send out a ton of emails and they bounce, it's going to make it more likely that your sending domain gets blacklisted, and that's no good. So Postaga automatically validates every single email address and will also let you know if an email address is, for example, a catch-all email address, which means that we think it's going to reach the destination, but we can't 100% confirm that it will just because of how their mail domain is set up. So this looks all good. I've got contacts. And the very next step here is I'm going to set up an email sequence. And Postaga has a built-in template for the Multiscraper campaign, and it's a 3 email sequence. So first we send out email number 1, then we wait a few days, then we send out email number 2 to anyone who did not reply to our first email, and then we wait a few more days, and then we send the follow-up email to anyone who has not replied to either of our first 2 emails. And so follow-ups are important because we want to make sure that these people see our message and get them a chance to reply and connect with us. And from having run a lot of campaigns, I can safely say that having follow-ups and multiple follow-ups significantly increases the likelihood that you get people to reply to your outreach campaigns. So here's what my template itself actually looks like before I show you what the preview is going to be. So the email template looks like, hey, insert person's first name. I came across your article. I noticed that you linked to an outdated article on this topic. We then have merge fields for the year. I'm also using one feature that we have in Postaga is conditional logic, so that, for example, in this sequence, I note that all right, so if the article is not more than a year old, then I'll say oh, that article is a few months old. But we have automated ways to basically fill out the text of this email message, saving us a ton of time. So then I have merge fields related to the article that their article, as well as what article they're linking to, and our article that they should be linking to. And that all happens automatically. So again, saving us a huge amount of time and letting us simultaneously reach out to hundreds of different people that are linking to several different websites. And so now I can see an email preview that'll show me what the emails will look like for each of these contacts. So we see here that the email is filled out related to the specific contact. Hello, person. I came across your article, and inserting details related to their article, also related to the article that they are linking to, and mentioning my article that I want them to link to instead. I also see there is a red merge field here, which is where I pitch why they should be linking to my article. To do that, I'm going to go down in this section, click this little plus icon here, and I have a section for Skyscraper summary. And I'm going to say something like, my article is so much better. Something like that. You get the idea. So then I'll scroll up here and I'll see automatically that has been filled in. So really in just a few minutes, I'm able to create this automated Skyscraper campaign, the Multiscraper campaign, find multiple websites that I want to target, find contacts and their email addresses, and build them personalized outreach campaigns that also have multiple emails going to them. So once I'm happy with all of that, I can schedule the emails to send out. I can send them out now or send it out later. I can also set rules for, do I want follow-up emails to be able to go out on weekends? Personally, I don't like that. So I have an option here to make sure that if like a follow-up date would fall on a Saturday or Sunday, the next email in the sequence will go out on a Monday. And also the stop on reply button lets me ensure that if I get a reply from a specific contact, that contact won't get a follow-up email from me. And then I can schedule that out. And that's basically it. And that's kind of a walkthrough of how this campaign type works. As I mentioned before, it's a lot simpler and more streamlined than a typical Skyscraper campaign, saving you a ton of time and letting you reach out to many more opportunities and many more websites than you normally would with a Skyscraper campaign. So that's the quick walkthrough of the Multiscraper campaign and how it works. I also want to take some time here to talk about email templates and best practices for doing the Multiscraper campaign. With my pitch, it's important. And by the way, if you have connected your Ahrefs account to Postaga, that'll automatically give you the Multiscraper templates, so you can use those, or if you want, modify them for your own needs, whatever you'd like to do. But a few best practices overall for email templates. First, it's important to frame the outreach in terms of the recipient's benefit and the benefit that they get from this, because I've been on the receiving end of a lot of outreach and pitch emails, and when it's framed as something to the effect of, hey, you're linking to this other article, but I have a better article linked to me, that doesn't entice me to want to do that, because it takes me some effort to go into my blog post and swap out a link. Is your blog post even better? I want to frame it as the benefit that they and their audience are going to get from this, so framing it as you are you're linking to an old article. It would be better for your audience to be linking to a more current article, something more relevant, because you have outdated info, and that's bad for your audience. So making sure to frame it in terms of not the benefit that you as the person who's going to get a backlink out of this is going to get, but frame it related to the person that you're reaching out to and their audience. I've mentioned this a couple times now, but I really think it's easiest to do Skyscraper and Multiscraper outreach when you're targeting articles that are out of date, because it's a simple pitch. The pitch being, you're linking to an article from 2015, and it's an article that shares statistics about social media. Well, a lot has changed in social media in the last 5 and 6 years. And we have a brand new up-to-date article from 2021. That to me is a very simple, straightforward pitch. And it's yeah, that's compelling. I am linking to out-of-date info. I'm happy to add something there. Other thing is, make sure that you give the recipient what they need to be able to help you. So for example, if you're saying you're linking to an out-of-date article, you should link to my article instead, show them where the out-of-date article is so they can easily find it. And so let's see if I had this. But basically have context for what the anchor text is, and Postaga helps with that. You can see what the anchor text is of the link that they're linking to, so they can easily go into that article and find the article that they need to update the URL for, if that makes sense. Another thing that I mentioned a little bit about is reciprocity. People are more likely to want to help you if you offer to help them. So anything from saying, you have a really not just flattery of oh, you have a great article, but I'm happy to share your article on our social media channels, Or also, I'd be happy if you would like join our private Facebook group, or I'd be happy to offer a discount to your audience of our service or product or something like that, showing that you're not just being selfish and wanting this link, but you're wanting to help them out as well. Makes it more likely you're going to get a positive response. So here's kind of basically like breaking down the email template and like what my pitch is and why. So here, for example, hey Sam, Andy from Postaga here. I came across your article while searching for email templates. So I'm showing them right away. Here is the article that you have that is relevant for my outreach, and why I'm like kind of what I'm reaching out about. I noticed that you linked to an article, but that while it's good, it's very out of date. And so I wanted to suggest that you replace it with ours. And I'm very explicit about that I want to suggest that you replace that link with ours. The reason I say this is because you need to be clear that this is what you're looking for. I've gotten pitches where people are like, I would be great if you could link to our article. And it's like, well, you're looking at me to replace their article, or you want me to add a link to your article somewhere else in my article? Because if that's what you're looking for, if you're saying generally like, hey, I've got an article that I think would be a good fit for your article, well, now you're giving me homework here. You're saying, hey, you've got can you link to my article in your article? Well, where, why, I don't know. So I try to be as explicit as I can about what the ask is. And then there is the pitch for my article itself. So like my article shares things like this, and this is why my article is better. So like, for example, like you have an article from 2015 on social media statistics. My article from 2021 on social media statistics takes things like TikTok into account, which weren't around or popular in 2015. Something that really sells your article and why it's better than the other articles out there. Then I mentioned this bit about reciprocity. So if you have some sort of offer that you can provide, that might be a little bit of a bonus or booster that you can have as well. So other keys for doing Multiscraper and Skyscraper outreach, as I mentioned before, follow-ups are important. Don't just have one email, have 2, 3, or 4 emails in your sequence, because every additional touch point makes it more likely that the recipient replies to your outreach. Personally, I think somewhere between 3 to 5 is like the sweet spot. I haven't figured out exactly what that number is yet. I need to do definitely more tinkering and testing to see what the optimal amount is. But I've not found that even 4 emails or 5 emails is a problem. So make sure you follow up. So as I mentioned, 3 to 5 emails in your sequence. Don't send follow-up messages on weekends. And this one, I need to spend a little bit of time to say this, but actually make sure that the content that you have for your blog article that you're reaching out to people about is better than the content that you're telling people to link away from. Because I've seen some Skyscraper campaigns. I've seen quite a few Skyscraper campaigns where people are pitching their article, but their article isn't actually better than the article that they're looking to replace. And that's a problem, because if you're spending all this time trying to convince someone to link to your article, I would really want your article to be like demonstrably better than the other articles out there. And if someone takes a quick look and is like, oh, this article is actually pretty short, I'm not going to spend the time to swap out that link. Another thing, outreach overall is a numbers game. So the more people that you reach out to, the more responses you can potentially get. You may see like you get like a reply rate of something like 3% or something like that. And so that's 3 responses out of 100. So you need to respond, you need to send a good amount of emails to many different contacts to get the best possible results for you there. Next thing is the Ahrefs integration with Postaga. So as I mentioned before, the Multiscraper campaign in Postaga requires an integration that we have with Ahrefs. So if you have an Ahrefs account, whether it's like the regular, the light account, the standard, or even the free trial 7-day, $7 account, you should be able to connect that to Postaga. And what you'll do is you'll go into your Postaga account, go to settings, and under the APIs section, you'll connect your Postaga, your Ahrefs account. And then once you do that, you'll be able to send Multiscraper campaigns. Oh, and you'll also be able to get domain ratings for your search results of websites. And so like if you're doing a completely different campaign, like a resources campaign, for example, and you want to reach out to resource articles that you want to link to your content, or you're doing a cold outreach campaign to try and find guest posting opportunities, and you only want to reach out to websites that have a high domain authority, you can get those websites domain ratings, so you can be choosier about the websites that you reach out to if you want. So yeah, as I mentioned, with the Ahrefs integration, you get access to the Multiscraper campaign. You can also get domain ratings for opportunity searches. So when you're searching for websites and you see them, Postaga will let you know what their domain rating is. And also you will get access to any future Ahrefs integration campaigns that we build within Postaga. And we're currently thinking about what some of those might be. Right, Sam?
We'll see. Check back in a few months.
Well, if there are certain campaigns you'd be looking for, let us know with an Ahrefs integration. So that's kind of what an overview of the Multiscraper campaign and the Ahrefs integration with Postaga. And so if you're kind of like wondering next steps, you were talking a little bit about trying to building these campaigns and reaching out to all of these contacts. You're going to need a bunch of contacts. So specifically just for you guys, for everyone watching this and watching this recording, if you watching this recording a little bit later this week, we have an exclusive offer for you. So if you want access to our pro level plan, which is normally $99 US per month, you can get your first month of that for $9 per month, which will give you access to grabbing up to 2,000 contacts and unlimited campaigns, and also abilities like things like customizing and personalizing your email signature and things like that. So for this, if you don't have a pro or agency plan, you can get the pro plan by logging into your account, clicking the going into your plan page, upgrading to pro, and using this coupon code, which is webinar Feb 2021. And that will get you the pro plan for $9 for your first month. And if you're curious about, trying out the Multiscraper campaign and reaching out to a ton of contacts, this $9 pro plan will help you do that. Again, $9 for your first month of a pro plan with the coupon code webinar Feb 2021. And this offer will expire this week. Today it's Wednesday, and it'll expire this Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. We're not leaving this offer open forever. It's just this week and just for everyone who's here on this webinar. And after the first month, it goes back to our regular normal pro plan rate, which is $99 per month. But I think if you're doing link building, if you're doing Skyscraper Technique and Multiscraper Technique, you'll see that it will save you so much time that it will be worth it. So next steps from here. some things of what I would recommend. What are your next steps? If you haven't yet, please join our Facebook group. It's called Grow Together SEO, and it's all about link building, digital marketing, digital PR. We in the group, you'll see things like, for example, several times each week, we'll do things like share guest posting opportunities, share link exchange opportunities, asking questions if you have any on digital marketing or link building. We're very active in there, and we've got a really great community. If you haven't checked it out yet, please join it. And there are also occasionally digital marketing and SEO related memes. So, I mean, if that hasn't convinced you, I don't know what will. Also, if you haven't yet, check out Postaga, postaga.com. You can grab if you grab an account and you haven't yet, you can get a free 14-day trial. And I don't share out this link with everybody, so don't go sharing it out widely or anything like that. If you want a personal one-on-one demo with me of the platform, you can do that by going to postaga.com/demo. Again, don't share this with all your friends. This is just for us. And I'm happy to share a personal demo with you or share some advice on what kind of campaigns I would recommend running for you. So next up, let's go into questions. I know we've got a lot of questions. So Sam, what do we got?
Yeah, so first, let me address a few things that came through in chat. There was a question about whether or not Ahrefs has a $7 7-day trial. And there was a question about whether you get, you can do the Postaga integration with that trial. I believe that the answer to that is yes. According to Ahrefs, you get access to all of the functionality of their light/standard plans with the 7-day trial. So that would include API access, which means that you could do the integration. So if you wanted to try out both Postaga and Ahrefs, it would be, so if it's $9 for Postaga, $7 for Ahrefs, then you're talking $16 to try out this integration. So that's just getting some housekeeping out of the way, and now we'll get to questions. So JJ asks, how does Postaga find email addresses of the relevant person party from those websites? Is it the author of the article that is linking to the out-of-date article, or the webmaster of that website?
Great question. Well, Sam programmed that. It's a bit of magic, but basically the very first thing that Postaga will try and do is find the author of that post. So for example, I have an article that is linking to another article that I want them to switch to me. Postaga will first try and find the author of that article so we can reach out to them directly. Since they're the author, if I reach out to them, chances are maybe they can swap out the link. Otherwise, we have a few different fallback methods that we use if we cannot find the author of the post to try and find another relevant person. Postaga has options, like hidden advanced options, where you can actually choose like what type of contact you want to reach out to, if not the author of the post. And so typically the default is a marketing contact, but if you want to reach out to like a CEO or other C-level person because you're doing a cold outreach campaign and that's the type of person you want to contact, there are ways that you can do that as well. But Postaga's kind of fallback is that it's going to try and find another person in marketing or content who would be best able to help you out related to that article.
All right. Next, we have a question about whether you can run this on the free plan. So I'll take that. So you can run an Ahrefs campaign on the free plan if you integrate a paid hunter account. So on any free plan, you will have to integrate your paid hunter account in order to get full contact results. And then you can run a limited number of campaigns each month. All right, next we have, if I have an optimized blog, how will Postaga help me through campaigns?
So basically, when you start using Postaga, Postaga can give you campaign recommendations for the kind of campaigns that you should run. Let's say that you have an amazing blog with really good content. There are a few different campaign types that would be good for you to run on any post. And keep in mind, Postaga is a great tool not just for blog post promotion and link building, but it's also a good tool for promoting your business and doing digital PR, as well as doing cold outreach for businesses. But if we're focusing specifically on a blog, you want to build links to your blog posts to increase your search rankings. At the very top of your new campaign page, there are a few campaign types that we recommend. The resources campaign, which finds resource pages. The mention campaign, which will find any outbound links in your article to other articles to reach out to them to say, hey, I linked to you. Do you want to share or link to our article as well? There's also the Skyscraper campaign, the Multiscraper campaign, and the link roundup campaign type. Link roundups reach out to websites like that have a weekly newsletter or a weekly post that's a roundup of other articles on a specific topic. Now, I don't necessarily recommend the roundup campaign for everybody just because it varies very much by industry. Like you may be targeting, I don't know, auto dealerships or something like that, and no one is writing an auto dealer weekly newsletter roundup or something like that you'd be able to reach out to. I don't know. So that one varies very much by industry.
All right. Next question. Can you tell Postaga what authority threshold you want to filter for the Multiscraper campaign?
Yep. So Postaga will automatically filter out domain authority less than 25. And in our experience, that's given us pretty solid best results.
Yeah, and if that feature is a highly requested feature, being able to change that authority threshold, then we would add the ability to set that threshold yourself. So if you're like Eliza, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, then let us know that you want to be able to set that threshold. All right, next we have, does it work with Ubersuggest?
So right now it just works with Ahrefs. And to answer the next question also, we do believe it does work with a 7-day trial account. Also, a recording will be available afterward in case you had to duck out. So to do the Multiscraper campaign, you will also need an Ahrefs account.
And can you make the content of follow-up emails different?
I guess not sure specifically what you mean. So the follow-up email will be like email number 2 in the sequence will be different from email number 1 in the sequence. It won't be like the same. Like typically my email number 2 is something simple like, hey, just wanted to follow up and see what your thoughts were about my previous email. And like my 3rd or 4th email will be something like, hey, I haven't been able to get a hold of you. Just wanted to follow up one last time. Here's what I'm looking for. Something like that. So
yeah. You can create whatever you want for your follow-up email templates. So you can control the content to be whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
Next question is, can this violate spam/bulk email policies? Any danger of getting blacklisted?
Sam, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Marco, we do a lot of different things to try to make sure that your email address is safe. The first and most important is we allow you to set up a custom sending email. So we highly recommend setting up a custom domain that will protect your main domain just in case you get marked as spam. In our experience, if you're sending a few thousand emails a month and you're paying attention to the content of your emails, you're not going to run into any trouble with spam. But if you want to be safe, set up a custom sending domain. You can also set up an SMTP integration if you wanted to spin up like a separate Gmail address and send from that instead. Then you could do that. Two other things that we do to prevent you from getting blacklisted. One is we actually warm up your custom domain. So we'll gradually increase the number of emails that we send per day from that custom domain, and we do that automatically. And then the other thing is we don't send out 1,000 emails at once. We'll send it out one every few minutes, and that makes it seem like it's a more normal sending pattern. So a lot of things that we're doing to make sure that you don't get blacklisted. And if you're sending good outreach emails and you have a custom sending email address, there's not really much to worry about. Next is, what's the average emails to link conversion rate?
That's a great question. I don't have a specific number. The thing is, it varies, like in terms of like what we have in data in terms of like Postaga, it varies wildly. There are a lot of different factors, and I don't think there's a good average, because then you're thinking, all right, there's this benchmark that I'm beholden to. But what I will say is that there are a few keys that will help you increase the likelihood that you get the positive response that you're looking for and get that link. First is having a good email pitch, following all the advice that I gave earlier, focusing on articles that are out of date, as well as making it very easy for the person that you're emailing to swap out that link. Doing things like having some sort of reciprocity element also increases the likelihood that you get a positive reply. And beyond that, also finding the right contact. So if emailing like an info ad or a contact ad because you can't find a specific person's email address, that'll also likely diminish somewhat the percent chance that you get a positive reply. Postaga does its best to find specific contacts when we can. One thing that, all right, don't tell anyone about this, because this is something that's been working really well for me lately. With Postaga, we can do conditional logic so that for example, I can have a sentence that appears to people only if they are a generic contact, and a generic contact as in a contact ad or info ad. So I have a pretty snarky line that I have been told is funny and is pretty good for disarming people who are like, who's this person emailing me at info at? They clearly don't know who we are, and I'm thinking this is a spam email. So for conditional logic, I set it up so that if I'm emailing a contact and it's a contact ad or info at, I say something like, "Hey, just wanted to see if you're the right person to talk to about this. I've been told that there are people at your company that are not actual humans, but cats stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. So please let me know if there is a human that is receiving this email." And that's cute and dumb, and it gets like a chuckle out of the recipient because they're not expecting that. Most people that are doing like link building outreach emails, it's a very straightforward transactional kind of email, and that's no fun. So having a little bit of humor also does increase the likelihood that you get a positive reply there. So
yeah, and I'll just add to that, if you want like more exact numbers, like Andy said, it definitely depends, but outreach is a numbers game, and if you're beating 1 out of 100 emails sent getting a successful reply, then you're doing well. So if you send out 2,000 emails, you should expect about 20 or so positive responses.
Yeah.
And if you beat that, some people are getting as high as 5, even 7%. So if you're really good at it, then you can get much higher numbers. But
yeah, shout out to Lewis in the comments who's talking about conversion rate and variables. Lewis also mentions that your content niche and research and email content all affect that. And Lewis' opinion is that anything over 1 link per 200 prospects is successful. Lewis spent 4 hours personalizing a campaign once with 1,000 prospects and got a 5% conversion rate. Dang, that's a lot of time spent personalizing.
But there you go. I think that's some great anecdotal data. So thank you, Lewis.
Yeah. Oh, I want to also be mindful of everyone's time here. I know we just passed the hour, so if you have to duck out, thanks for joining us. And we'll stay on a few minutes more to try and answer some more questions here. But if you got to run, thanks for joining us, and please feel free to grab a Postaga Pro account using that coupon code webinar. Dang it, I forgot the code.
It's in chat. Where do we have it? Webinar Feb 2021. So webinar FEB 2021, and I'll post it in chat again.
And I'll try and send that out in a follow-up email to everyone that registered. Okay. What other questions we got?
All right. What does Postaga cost after the first month? So if you use that coupon code and you continue on, then it'll be our normal rate, which is 99 US per month. We have a few questions about paid link placements, how we detect them, and what do you do when you get them?
Great question. So this is I'm glad someone brought this up because I do want to set proper expectations for this. So of your replies, some of them are going to be people who are asking you to pay them money for a link placement or suggesting a reciprocal placement of a link of theirs somewhere else. If you get a lot of outreach emails, you possibly are going to be doing this where you're like, oh, you're someone else reaching out to me. Well, can you link back to me in another place or on another website? So what's like the best approach there in terms of like personal, what's right for you? I know there are some people who frown on that, who are like, I'm not going to pay for links. I personally, that's not something that I'm interested in doing, but I understand that some people do, and they have they will set a budget for each month, being like, okay, I'm going to have a budget of X $100 for quality, high authority backlinks. Or I have some people looking for a reciprocal link in another property of theirs. That's ultimately up to you to determine if that's something that you want to do or are open to. Postaga does detect in your replies, like the reply that you get, if someone says, hey, I want $50 for a link insertion fee. In Postaga's CRM, we do let you know, and if you're using Postaga's CRM, awesome. We'll let you know, of the leads that you have that replied, here, this one wants money, this one has a follow-up question for you, and so on. So you can kind of figure out what you want to do from there.
All right. Let's see. There's a question about whether there's going to be a marketplace. I assume that means a link swapping marketplace. That's something that we've considered. No plans to do that yet, but if enough people ask for it, then we would consider it.
One thing I would suggest is joining the Facebook group. So once a week, we have link swap Thursdays, and Thursday is tomorrow. So if you join the Facebook group tomorrow, I'm going to be sending out a post suggesting that if you are looking for swapping relevant links, that you can post there and find other people with relevant niches and industries that could link to your content.
And Andy, can you paste the URL for that in the chat?
Oh yeah, that would be great, right?
And I'll answer the next question. So is cold emailing allowed in Europe with GDPR? The answer is yes. You just need to give your recipient a way to opt out. Since we're storing all of the data and we're in the US, the liability rests more with us than with you. But if you're sending cold emails and you give your recipient a way to opt out, then you should be all set.
Also, we do integrate with other data partners as well, who are for contact finding and things like that, and are insured to be GDPR compliant.
Okay. Our email sent from our domain name. I think we mostly addressed that. So you can set up a custom sending email, either a custom domain or an SMTP connection with another Gmail address that you set up specifically for outreach. What do we need to add to the free Postaga account to run the Multiscraper? You would need a paid hunter.io account. Any chance this could ever work with SEMrush? Maybe. If enough people ask for that, then we would consider doing an integration with SEMrush.
Yeah, same goes for Ubersuggest.
Ubersuggest, last I checked, didn't have an API, so that would make it more difficult. But with either of those, you can always do an export, and then we have a custom CSV campaign. So if you export a list of URLs, then you just import that list of URLs in the custom CSV campaign. You can even map other columns in that CSV to custom merge fields, and then you could run your Skyscraper campaign that way.
Yep. Also, we have a roadmap here that I'm going to share in the chat. So if you want to know like things that we're working on and like upvote things like an SEMrush integration or anything like that, please feel free to check that out.
So how many emails can you send in a day? If you're warming up a domain, then it's going to be less, but once you max out, it's 100 for a free account and then 300 per day for paid accounts. Do you think old articles with old links are still getting traffic, and replacing the link with our link will drive traffic? Good question.
Yeah, so that is a good question. So the issue isn't, and I don't really think of it in terms of if this person's article that I'm reaching out about is old, does that article have traffic? It's not that I'm looking for, I'm not necessarily looking for traffic from this other person's article by them linking to me. I'm looking for that added link, just the link itself. It could be not necessarily any article, but the fact that I can get I've accumulated more links from multiple websites, that signals to Google that my website is more authoritative, and it's going to increase the likelihood that my website will increase in search rankings. So that's really the main thing that I'm looking for out of this. I'm not necessarily looking for links to high traffic sites because I want people to click those links and get to my website from there. That's an ancillary benefit, but the main thing that I'm looking for is quantity and quality of high volume, like links from high authority websites in a relevant context.
Next, are we able to personalize with video as well? Not yet. You can't include video in your emails. That's definitely something that's on our radar, though. Will you consider reducing your monthly price? We'll see.
I would recommend trying out the $9 plan for the first month, and yeah, check that out.
Yeah, if we were to reduce our price, it would be for a lower tier, so you'd get less credits. We have our own upstream data providers, so there's only so much that we can do for price. And I think that's about it. So does Postaga know whether a link in an article is a sponsored link? We kind of addressed this, but not exactly. We don't detect, like, if we're getting the outbound links of a given article, we don't detect whether those outbound links are sponsored. So like if you were running a Skyscraper campaign, we wouldn't say, oh, well, this source links to your target, but it's a sponsored link. We haven't been able to add that detection yet. It's possible that we'll be able to add that in the future, but sometimes it can be pretty hard to tell. So I think that does it for questions.
Yeah.
If you have more, there will be another webinar in the future. And you can always reach out to us on chat or email us at support@Postaga.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Andy?
No, well, thanks everyone for joining us. And please, if you haven't yet, check out Postaga as well as our Multiscraper integration. And also remember to check out that coupon code WebinarFeb 2021 to upgrade for $9 for your first month of a pro account. So check that out as well. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Take care.